Is this thing on?
It's on.
Hello? Hello! It is us! We are the large and unnecessary first player token. I am Pawel, and to my left is...
Euan?
And far away is...
Chris.
We actually have two microphones, so that's why Chris is far away.
Yeah.
Hi!
Over the rainbow.
Today is episode number 20, and I've been honoured with starting it by saying all these things.
You have a loud, dramatic voice, Pawel, so...
I feel like this is a good entrance. We welcome thee. And we're here to talk about video games mostly in this episode, mostly because it's episode number 20, and also because we've been busy playing video games rather than board games.
And generally just busy.
Yeah.
Stay assured that board games are a crucial part of this podcast as well, because the microphones are standing on board games.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And they pick up all sorts of noise.
Yeah, like Pawel playing with beer mats.
Well, if you feel there's really been a change to this show, it's... Pawel's back with us after 2 weeks, and it shows.
Yeah, it does show.
I missed you people so much!
There's a lot more volume in this room.
Certainly does, but it's holding us together. Pawel's the voice of an angel. It's the glue that binds us.
Is that the nickname that you've given him now? Is he just the voice of an angel?
I can't remember, it's changed slightly. It
was
the
that
voice
not like
of, the
Charlotte
voice of
Church
God.
or something?
It was the gift of God. Can I just make a remark here that there is no holding in the room happening at the moment?
No holding?
No, you said I hold you guys together. That part will...
Alright.
Well,
not literally.
Not in the physical
I'm sorry,
plane,
I've
but in
learned
a
English only a couple of years ago.
That's quite impressive.
I thank you.
Were you forced to?
Well, parents, you know.
Okay, let's not go into that story then. Yeah, like Pawel says, we're here to talk about some games. A video game heavy episode, because we've been that busy and, celebrating a certain green and white team from Edinburgh over the weekend has put a dent in our board gaming time.
No football talk!
I didn't promise no football talk.
Yeah.
I said probably not.
At no point in this podcast, or in any episode, have we...
I'd like to make another remark football before I came to our studio. Sorry, the podcast central. I've been promised there would be no football chats today.
No promises.
I don't think any such promise was made.
No, there was no promises made. I say just probably not.
There's nothing in
and it's
any of our
2.5
contracts
minutes.
about it.
There's also a football scarf right in front of me. it's.
Do you want to wear it?
No. Maybe later.
Here, Pawel, put this scarf on.
Oh, this is going to be great.
Hey, Hibs for the win! or whatever you normally
that's actually
shout at.
That's what the Hibs fans say. They all go, Hibs for the win.
And apparently it actually happened last weekend, and now we can move on to video games.
Right, okay, let's move on to video games then. Don't throw that scarf away.
Bye-bye, scarf.
That's disrespectful.
It was a bit disrespectful. Sorry, Hibs fans.
We're going to get a photo of you with it.
Okay, Pawel, since you've been absent for a couple of weeks, we're going to let you do most of the talking for the next 5 or 10 minutes. What have you been playing?
I shall try to fit within 50 minutes. I have been playing a lot of random things, so I shall try and focus on one game only, because at least that one I've finished, which is the Banner Saga 2. Now, I think I've actually mentioned Banner Saga 1 a good couple months ago, yes. Banner Saga 2 is a direct continuation of the story, and it feels very much as a direct continuation of just about any other aspect of the previous game. The gameplay as such hasn't really changed that much. It's the same engine, the same concept. There's been a couple of additions which add variety to the game, and because the first game was amazing and in fact awesome, the second game couldn't have been better, so I'm just going to say it's as awesome. I I think players have been promised a couple of things that may have not worked out as well as the developers hoped. In the first part, there have been a few aspects which were supposed to be improved. I personally haven't really seen or noticed these improvements, but as I've not been bothered by those aspects in the first game, I'm gonna say meh. You still play in the exact same way. You've got your characters or your heroes in the caravan, or in fact 2 different caravans that travel through the Nordic themed worlds on the brink of destruction, as fantasy worlds tend to be. And whenever you encounter anything that's worth your time to battle your way through, you do it in a turn-based isometric mode. Just moving your characters and bashing others in. So yeah, there were supposed to be improvements and changes. Certain aspects of managing your caravan were supposed to be explained better or in more depth. I've not noticed that at all. Thank you very much. There were supposed to be changes, more interactive and more varied battles in the sort of goal aspect, as in you don't want to just do a proper deathmatch and win by being the last one standing, but sometimes there's going to be additional goals or something you have to focus instead. And fair enough, there's been a couple of additions like this. If you're surrounded by whatever horde and you have to run away rather than win a battle, or if you have to shovel your way through snow in order to make it
I thought you were going to say corpses.
Yeah, so did I.
I really believed you were going to say corpses.
Shovel your
plenty corpses in this game. Yes.
I think that's the term you use for getting your way through corpses, is shoveling your way through.
Okay, yes. Well, we could do that as well.
It's like sort of the nice term that you say, I'm shoveling through snow, when you're sort of trying to put yourself in another place.
You're not disgracing your way through it.
Yeah.
I value your input. Banasaga.
Sorry, carry on.
Banasaga is all about shoveling through corpses. More importantly, this game has been so successful and continues to be successful, I believe, chiefly because of its art direction and the world created for it, the setting and the story in it. And the second part is exactly what you would expect from it. It's not the ending, it's not the beginning. You're given a larger chunk of the world, more myths, more fantasy creatures and tribes living in it. You learn more and you just enjoy it the very same way.
Cool. So is there a really nice world created here?
I would say this world deserves much more than just video games. As much as I love this game, I want an RPG. Thank you very much. Please release soon.
I do like the way that you thank people before they've done anything for you.
I expect things to be done when I ask for them. That would be nice, yes.
Airlines really did turn you into a full-on capitalist.
That's how it works, yes.
So how is the story in the Banner Saga?
The Banner Saga story is, very non-American, I'm going to say.
Right.
You get your generic either dark fantasy or heroic fantasy in Western RPGs or in Western fantasy settings, and at some point they just become maybe a little bit repetitive or maybe a little bit, recognizable. Banner Saga is heavily based in Norse mythology, so it's got its own peoples living in this world on the brink of what sort of seems like Ragnarok but isn't. They have their own mythology as well, and it's really well, convincingly and most importantly uniquely crafted. I think it's got its own taste, and it's depressing, I'm gonna say. To be fair, you play this game, you feel that the world is ending. You've just about started to learn about it, and you see it just in crumbles. You have this lovely map full of stuff you will never visit in 5 or 6 games. And I think in some interview, one of the developers admitted that their design guy just went over the board and created this huge map full of tiny ideas. You click on, or just you mouse over whatever location name, and you get a short tidbit of history. you'll not go there. That piece of world is already dying. There's already hordes of whatever dredge or other monsters walking through. There's so many mysteries that you get to stumble upon as both your caravans go through, and there's at least a couple of characters you actually develop a connection with, a bond with, which is important in games that rely heavily on a story. But yeah, by the time you're finishing the game, no, let's not spoil things. There's things happening in the game.
Well, I can't really remember too much about you mentioned the first Banner Saga.
I'm sure I tried to compare it to the Oregon Trail.
I think there was a comparison like this made, but I found it lacking.
Okay, that's me and my place then.
Alright, no Oregon Trail for you.
That's me told.
Aye.
Banner Saga, a quality on its own.
Okay. I was going to say, I didn't directly compare it to that. I just thought it sounded like a more violent version of just trying to get your caravans through. But all sorts of mad shit happening.
In all fairness, your caravan getting through from point A to point B is really advancing the story, and random text-based events. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Every playthrough is going to be slightly different, but you'll be presented with short pieces of text, and you're making meaningful decisions, and suddenly a hero you've been carrying for hours or days is dead because you chose wrongly, and you keep walking. You can't just load. You keep going.
Brutal.
Yeah. Also,
I do like a brutal game.
I should probably mention that characters you got killed off because you were brutal indeed, and Banner Saga 1 are still dead, obviously, in Banner Saga 2 if you continue your save from the previous game. It's a saga after all.
That's nice.
And because it's a saga, it also means that children of your characters, if they've indeed survived,
but do they still replace Edward Norton with Mark Ruffalo though?
I'm gonna say there's creatures much more dangerous than the Hulk in this game.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Can't imagine them.
You should play the game.
All right, yeah. I have to have them painted for me by somebody.
I'd just like to say I have no fucking idea what just happened there.
That's been a terrible joke, to be honest.
Right.
It's fine.
You?
Yeah, you of all people. Well, who'd have thunk it, eh?
Yes.
So the Banner Saga 2. Good fun.
Good fun.
Brutal fun.
Brutal fun. Now, given the current state of events in the gaming world, I need to resort to a rating theme, which was enforced by my good friend John the Helpful Hobbit Hitchcock, and his rating, which he believes should be used from now on, is the lowest mark would be pish, the medium mark would be not really Uncharted 4 yet, and the top mark being Uncharted 4. Now, Banner Saga 2 is very much Uncharted 4 level.
Oh,
well, that's high praise indeed. And what
and
was
completely unlike Uncharted 4, by the way. We're just talking about the amount of awesomeness.
You're trying to stick to his rating scale.
I have to.
Yeah,
fit everything on that.
Have you been asked to?
It's more of a sort of.
Are you getting royalties or anything?
There is an odd pastry showing up on my desk from time to time.
And is he really? Is his middle name really the Helpful Hobbit?
It's his middle something.
Right, fair enough. Right, so the Banner Saga 2 then.
Amazing game, try it out.
Well done on a concise review there, Pawel. That was nice.
Was that 10 minutes, Chris?
Yeah, that was 10 minutes.
And forcing something.
You did it. You finally did it.
Oh my god, I'm gonna shed a tear now.
So the Banner Saga 2, that's developed by Stoic and published by Versus Evil. It has been released on Windows and OS X in April 2016.
It's pretty much a Steam game, but there is a console version coming out at some point.
I'm just going to say PS4 and Xbox One on July the 26th this year. It'll be coming out. So, yeah, Banner Saga 2.
Oh, you've sold it to me, Pawel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just so slightly perturbed by this some anonymous John figure coming along and inserting a rating system in our program by proxy.
John has a way of creeping out at you.
Oh, and leaving pastries about the place.
Yes.
This isn't the sort of person I want inserting content into our podcast.
I find that quite surprising. That sounds like exactly the kind of person you would get along with.
Yeah, but insertions come later.
I think this guy might be a rival of yours.
I'll make sure to.
I'm not doing enough insertions, I guess.
To make him present here by proxy some more.
Oh, good.
Right, is it my turn then?
I'm sure that he'll send it over to the podcast central.
Excellent. Right.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. So, I've been quite busy over the past couple of weeks. I've been away and I've been, celebrating football, Pawel.
No!
So I've not really had much of a chance to do much video game. I have been catching up on stuff like The Division and Far Cry Primal and stuff like that. Far Cry Primal is something I just like to stick on every now and again and go and just, hunt some animals and some people and
pet some animals.
Yeah, pet some animals, ride around with my saber-toothed tiger. Just
if you and me just get burnt a few times.
I just like to stick it on for an hour, but yeah, I've been doing that. But I have been playing something called Running with Rifles, which I picked up on Steam. I think it was on sale a couple of weeks ago, and I picked that up. Now, it's quite. Do you guys remember the game Commandos?
Of course.
Yeah, right.
Alright.
Now, it kind of reminded me of that a wee bit. Okay, it's got that same sort of top-down, almost isometric-ish sort of view. But you're not really like, in Commandos you had a team of crack guys, they were just like a crack team. Not on crack, but
I feel
you know what I mean.
Cracks there, yeah.
And this, you're just basically like a single soldier. And you start off as the rank of private. Okay, now... The game can be played single player or multiplayer. I've not tried the multiplayer mode yet. I'll just say that. Apparently, it's really good. I haven't had a chance to try it yet because I've just been getting that absorbed in the single player campaign despite getting fucking nowhere in it. But basically, you spawn in this world as this single guy. The tutorial or anything doesn't really tell you very much, so I've just been jumping into it and trying to pick it up as I go along. So I've just been running about. You've got some basic weapons. You can pick your team as well, so there's 3 different squads. Basically, there's 3 different armies. They're loosely based on Americans, the Germans, and the Russians.
Right.
They're called the green belts, the grey collars, and the brown pants. So this game's not taking itself too seriously.
Right, I see.
It's probably smart.
Now, it's quite... I mean, it's just fun. This game has just been fun and it's really addictive. So you're just running about in that same, that same sort of view like in Commandos. Just running about using the WASD keys and point and click and shoot with your mouse. So you're running around with your rifle and just bang, 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 shooting things.
Are you thinking of cannon fodder?
It does sound like cannon fodder, yeah. But, I mean...
Because that is just probably one of my
in fact,
I
would. You're right, actually. I mean, I don't know why I didn't think of cannon fodder and I thought of Commandos instead.
Well,
but
that's
it's probably
what I thought of because I couldn't remember the name of cannon fodder when you said Commandos. I was is that the game I'm thinking?
It's probably a cross between the two. I would say. I mean, I think Commandos is much more of a stealth thing, but I think because the art style, maybe that's what sort of brought it into my head. That sort of isometric view and everything, but probably the art style is somewhere again between cannon fodder and Commandos. So yeah, you're probably good. You're right to bring that up there. But yeah, you run around and there's lots of there's trees, there's terrain, there's bases and stuff like that, and it's kind of like an area control thing. So you get orders at the top of the screen from just random AI guy who will just be like, you have to go and take this base, and it's held by one of the enemies. So you'll just run off and try and take that base, and there's lots of AI soldiers on your team that are all running around, and they're quite sensible, they're quite well programmed. They hide behind trees and stuff and pop out and start shooting and things, and you're doing the same.
That sounds less cannon fodder like.
Yes, I know, but it's much more, you've got much more control than you do in cannon fodder. Whereas in cannon fodder you were just clicking in different spots and then just shooting, and this you're just controlling one guy and you're using the terrain much more and stuff like that. And it's like a one-shot kill thing almost as well. So you do have health, but I mean, if you just get shot out in the open, straight in the chest, you're dead. That's what's happening. Right. And there's a variety of guns in this, and it does like the game says, no gun is better than the other. They're just good for certain situations. So you do get assault rifles, and you get shotguns, and you get big, huge machine guns that you have to lie down on the ground to shoot. And the problem with that is that you start the game as a private. you cannot use certain guns until you've ranked up.
Right.
Now, just to give you an idea how much killing you have to do in this game, right? You get sort of somewhere like 3, 4 or 5 experience points per kill, depending on the rank of the person you killed. Okay? But you also lose 2 experience points for dying. You need 500 experience points to get to the next level, the next rank, right?
So that's the first level.
I was celebrating when I got to 100. I thought, yeah, 100, that's the round number. That's the number that you need for ranking up. Nah, I did not rank up. So I went and looked it up. 500.
Oh my god.
That's just for the first rank.
For the next rank. And that's to unlock like bazookas and stuff like that. But there's so many ranks.
Right.
And you get different types of grenade and stuff like that.
Right.
There's a weird currency thing in this as well. So when you do certain things in this game, like killing people I think gives you stuff, but like capturing bases, destroying vehicles, capturing cargo trucks, getting promoted gives you resource points that you can then go to the armory and spend on different things. But if you die, you also lose resource points as well. So you're having to like go to the armory and like you can buy, if you've got a rifle and you want a shotgun, you can buy the shotgun instead. But I can see that becoming much more important as you rank up and more stuff becomes available to you, and certain situations require you for certain weapons and stuff. You're going to be running about to the armory and, you know, getting different things. The thing is, you're doing all this during the games as well. This isn't like you're not going to the armory in between missions or anything. It's during the actual game, and it's all real time. You can't pause it or anything. So you run off to the armory and you're like, what do I need? Right, give me that. Right, I'm off out. I'm back out again.
Right.
That sounds cool.
It's pretty cool. There's vehicles in it as well. There's different types of tanks and jeeps and all these kind of things. You can run people over in them. You can do all sorts of things. And these things are all kind of available to you from the beginning of the game as well. It doesn't seem like there's, you know, it's not like, oh, you've got to wait until 6 levels into the game before you ever see a tank. Nah, tanks are straight on top of you in the first level. You know, this is war, like, and it's absolute madness. Like, the maps and they're designed really well. There's so much like cool terrain that you can have. There's trees, there's rocks, there's like buildings, there's little villages or something like that. You know, there's bases all over the place. And you're never far away from a firefight.
So there'll always be skirmishes going on.
Yeah, it's just constantly happening around you. Right. So like, it really does feel like you start to feel that bit of stress sort of thing when you're like running into a new area. Like you don't know where anybody is. You don't know, like, is there a tank round that corner? I don't know. Like, what else to say about this? Oh yeah, when you get to higher ranks, you do start to get squads. You can start to form up squads,
right.
And I think you can give people in your squads orders and stuff like that. Oh yeah, and it's quite a nice wee touch because, like I say, there's 3 like different armies. They're kind of loosely based on American, German, and Russian, so they have American, German, and Russian names. And if you die, you don't respawn as the same soldier; you become a new soldier. But like you get resource points taken off you for the equipment that you had, basically to keep that equipment. So you respawn as a completely new guy. She's got the same rank and everything like that.
Yeah,
but it's quite a nice wee touch, that. So it's like, you know, you've got one. I had one guy who went out. I was really struggling, right? I was really struggling at killing maybe 1 or 2 guys with one soldier and then just being killed myself. And that happened for hours. Like, I was just like getting so frustrated because my experience was getting nowhere. And then I got one guy who I'm sure he was called, what was his name? It was something weird. It was something Eisenhower. Right? And I was just like, this guy's the guy.
He's destined to climb up, eh?
And seriously, I went out and killed about 50 guys with this one guy before I got killed again, and then went back to just getting killed every 2 guys.
Just that one.
No,
but I just had this one guy that is just stuck in my head. This guy was a hero. Like, he was just such a legend. Started to like get a bit of an affinity with this guy, but now he's dead. He's never coming back. You know, that's him. He's gone now.
So when I think about semi-isometric view and just shooting all around,
yes.
the recent, what was it called, Alienation thing comes to mind.
Yeah, that's kind of similar, but I mean that was a.
But it sounds like you're having more fun with this one.
Yeah, I'm having much more fun with running with rifles, like, and I've not even, like I say, I've not even tried the multiplayer mode yet.
Yeah.
That's got to be good. Like, if you're forming whole teams of people that are just running about doing this just looks like amazing fun.
So if you die and you respawn as a different soldier, you're still the same faction, yeah?
Still the same faction.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
And I've just been playing through the single player campaign, and it's kind of open world-ish as well.
Multiplayer, co-op or PvP?
Both.
Excellent.
So I like the idea of a top-down multiplayer Battlefield style game, but like that more sort of,
and it takes itself less seriously as well. I mean, it's got serious real guns in it. You know, you've got AK-47s and everything like that lying about. I'm not a gun nut. I mean, AK-47 is the one everybody knows, but there are all sorts of like real guns in this game.
It's because you think because you said AK-47, someone's going to be like,
everybody goes,
that's
a gun I know.
That gun dickhead, that Charlton Heston of the
podcast world.
Yeah.
That's me. But it doesn't. Yeah, like I say, it doesn't take itself too seriously, as you can tell by the names of the different factions.
Yeah,
indeed.
But yeah, man, I'm really, really enjoying it. Despite I've only played it for a few hours, and like I say, I haven't even got up to the next rank. I'm still running about with the basic weapons, just trying to shoot people and hide behind terrain. And it's still just a hell of a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend if you're.
I shall have a look.
I'm not sure
my
we'll
Steam
ever.
library is not long enough yet.
It never will be, Pawel. It never will
problem.
be.
I don't think it can ever replace for me the joy of keeping Jules and Jops alive for as many missions as possible.
That was the challenge in Cannon Fodder, wasn't it?
It's never been bettered, really, as far as I'm concerned. It should be released for every generation of console, not changed, just.
Oh yeah!
Every time a new generation of consoles,
every child should be made to play this game.
Cannon Fodder, it's on there. You play it, and
you're not allowed to play video games until you graduate from Cannon Fodder Academy.
Well, it's not like you would be required to complete the game. That would be madness.
And sensible soccer.
So you have to play
and
sensible
Megalomania.
soccer.
Yeah.
Here we go, football talk again.
All these classic games. Anyway, let's stop looking back into the past.
And look to the future.
Let's look to the future.
What's in our future, Chris?
Well, our future is me telling you the details of running with rifles.
All right.
Which is, it was released in April 2015 on Microsoft Windows OS X and Linux only. It was developed by Modulatio Games. I don't know, I've never heard of them before. So much so that they don't even have their own Wikipedia page, by the least of it. So,
they're frauds then. If they don't exist on Wikipedia, they just don't exist.
Because this is where I get all my research from. So, I mean,
I'm
just looking at the Wikipedia page for this game, and yeah.
That's how well informed we are.
So, our future though is Euan talking about a game from the past.
Well, yes, it's relatively
a bit of a
game in the past. Well, I was raking through your library on your PS3 and noticed you had Deadly Premonition, which I've been wanting to play for quite some time, just out of curiosity. I'd seen a wee bit of a mutual friend has played through it, I think, and he was showing me something. We would be sort of discussing it. It is described as a survival horror game.
Yeah.
But I personally wouldn't know what to describe it as.
Well, I've seen you playing a bit of this, and from what I can tell, it's basically a driving game with some zombies every so often.
I think it's just unfortunate that you've come in at times
it's a driving
when there's been
simulator.
some driving sections which are uniformly dreadful. I mean, most of the gameplay is pretty shoddy in this game. What kind of makes it stand out is just its general weirdness, like the story, the kind of setting. It does quite heavily rip off Twin Peaks.
Right.
I mean, the main character, the first time you see him, is driving along, amusingly smoking a cigarette, using a phone and a laptop on the passenger seat, driving through the woods. He's called into this town to investigate a murder of a local woman, and it's kind of very, very Twin Peaks set up. Everybody in the town's a bit weird. It's this small town. You're staying at this hotel with this crazy old woman who makes you sit at the far end of a long table. But the first sort of scene I saw when you actually get into the town is this, where you're having this weird conversation. It's all this sort of like jaunty music in the background. But the jaunty music continues in scenes where it's not really meant. It doesn't really fit as well. There's an autopsy scene. And it's just got this sort of like really over the top jazz playing in the background.
Yeah.
And they're always like striking
bit,
poses. it's just there's these bits where you have to fight these kind of weird zombie ghost shade creatures that make strange noises that sound like sort of lines of dialogue, and I've looked it up. There's been some discussion online about what they're saying, because there's certain theories, because the story is so weird. There's a lot of theories about where I haven't yet actually completed it, but I've gotten a reasonable way through it, just sort of getting into the investigation. There's all these kind of theories about what the storyline is. So, like, some people think that the main character that you're playing as is possibly the murderer, and he's killed various, because you never, these sections with the zombies, they can happen at any sort of time, but you never like encounter other people. So far I've not encountered other sort of characters from the game. You just kind of go off, and then when it ends he's just kind of like, alright, yeah, doesn't really mention it to anybody else. So it's like you're kind of possibly some kind of weird internal psychological battle going on, but you have to you have to shoot these things. But yeah, you shoot them and they make odd noises, and I swear blind that basically when they're dying, quite a lot of them make the same noise, and they go, I don't want to die.
That's definitely what it sounds like.
You heard it as well.
I heard that, and that's definitely what it sounds
nobody,
like.
I've looked online, various forums, nobody's identified that. They've identified other ones that sounds like they're saying, kill me, and I heard that. I think if we can get a clip... Sorry, I'll stop clicking this pen. That's just bad form. But then
I'm telling you off there.
But you've already had your mobile going off, so we're all being a bit unprofessional.
All right, it's no competition, mate.
It is now. Yeah. Well, what it is a competition is with these online folk. Can we drop in? I'm gonna leave a little space so we can. I'm gonna get a clip of this sound so we can drop it in.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, or maybe we can't.
I mean, the wonders of digital editing means that you don't even have to leave a space.
I can just keep on speaking.
I can take your voice and move
You could have shoved it in mid-sentence like when I was speaking before.
Yeah,
in fact, you probably will do that now.
I will do that now.
But yeah, they're saying, I don't want to die. And if you compare that to now... I don't want to die. I don't want to die. The sound of... that could just be a pregnant pause in the podcast.
That was the sound of silence, Pawel's favourite song.
I do like that one.
Darkness, my old friend.
Oh, you've ruined that one.
So yeah,
if you know what we're talking about there, you need to go back a few episodes.
Back when I was a little bit excited about a song, and it's been absolutely destroyed for me.
I felt quite bad about it at the time, not so much anymore.
Nah.
I've hardened with age. But it's nice we're building a bit of narrative in the podcast.
I would have to say that song definitely deserved the ripping we gave it.
Most of it took place off air as well. Like, we were a bit more brutal to it. We didn't have time to be as brutal in the actual podcast.
Anyway, back on track.
Sorry, yes, definitely premonition. Yeah, so I think I've described most of the gameplay mechanics are usual, with a controller. You're just walking about and looking at things. You can observe or interact with things, so sometimes you can get a little sort of subtitle telling you what he's thinking about a thing that you're looking at. There's also, it's quite daft that you're constantly getting little cash rewards. I've built up $2,000 in this, and I don't know, from really occasionally picking up little bonus things that are lying about, but just doing very minor things. Start getting given cash.
So one thing I don't understand, you've mentioned that the town is full of weird peoples.
This is like your average small town, but everybody's...
Twin Peaks.
Yeah, very Twin Peaks.
But then you said that your character actually don't meet anyone, apart from those zombie things.
No, you do. You're interacting with those people.
Okay.
But just now and again, there's just... the first time you come to the town, you deal with these zombies and then you go into the town.
So you random encounters of
you can... Well, it's all scripted. It's not...
Okay.
The whole thing's just one sort of narrative experience. Because it's made by a Japanese company called Access Games, which was co-founded by a bloke named Hidetaka Suehiro, otherwise known as Swery. Which he goes by online, I guess, and that's a gaming handle that he also uses. But yeah, he wrote and mostly created this game. He directed the game, and he's quite often credited in games as a director, and there is like, obviously this is meant to be like a singular vision, and it's sort of, he's come up with this sort of narrative, and I think that's kind of, from playing the game, that's what's at least been compelling about it, because I mean the gameplay and the general look of the game is pretty shocking.
I'm just looking him up here on Wikipedia, and he's credited as the designer on a game called Tomba 2: The Evil Swine Returns. It sounds like a game that I should play.
Well, this game, Deadly Premonition, this and another game that he created for, I think, for the Xbox One, D4, Dark Dreams Don't Lie, or something like that. The only kind of big games he's released in sort of America and Europe. But he's done. Bizarrely, we were talking yesterday. Me and Dave were talking yesterday about the sort of Gundam multiplayer sort of virtual reality things they have in Japan as these arcades, and he's credited as a director on these games. So I'm guessing he created the cutscenes and things like that, because obviously there's a lot of narrative stuff in Gundam. They like a bit of chat. So he's done a lot of kind of work like that, I think, on sort of more minor roles on games. Yeah. So he's obviously quite interested in creating story and creating games as art, sort of thing. So he's maybe not been entirely successful at it in everything he's done. I mean, he's obviously created some kind of low budget game here, but there's something about it that is kind of you root for this game to some extent when you're playing it, because there's a bit of charm about it, and all these daft characters and everything. They're always pulling wee poses and things like that, and you think he's direct. Everything in this game has been done for a reason, and you just find yourself wondering why.
It did seem like a weird mishmash of characters that you had on the screen when I saw you playing it. With weird sort of sheriff.
The sheriff, you had
who looks like a cowboy,
deputy, and you're in from the FBI supposedly, but you don't make contact with anyone. Oh, that again. Oh no! Twin Peaks, you do. There's a whole FBI backstory, but at the start he's not really communicating with anyone in particular.
Yeah.
And there's a whole thing where he keeps sort of putting his fingers to side to side, going and consulting this mysterious Zack, and it kind of makes out in the game like you, the player, are Zack. Because at certain times he'll be like, "Oh, what do you make of this, Zack?" And it'll cut to like a puzzle thing that you got to solve or something like that. So like it would seem. But then that's not always the case. It's very strange.
It sounds fucking bizarre, to be honest.
But I don't know. I'm kind of enjoying it, and I think I will try and get this finished. I'll persevere with it, despite all its strange gameplay elements. Just mishmash of gameplay genres. But the thing I was going to mention, actually, in terms of sort of enjoyment of it, well, it's figures in a Guinness World Record.
Yeah, I just read that here.
It's but it's a very specific thing. The most controversial survival horror game.
I don't know how you can give a Guinness World Record for that.
Well, I did look into this at the time, and it was based on just your sort of review averages. So like basically the most polarized kind of, so the most high and low with like fewer sort of.
So it's like the Marmite test.
Yeah, right. Yeah, essentially. So there might be a whole list. It'd be good to find, because it could just be the most polarizing game ever, or just specifically controversial survival horror game. So I wonder if there's other games that fall into these.
The most categories. Polarizing other theme, as in other genres.
I think we might have to. That might be one we need to have a look at. Is consult the Guinness Book of World Record on video games.
Well, we can maybe do that in the future.
Yeah.
Because at the moment I'm just generally confused by what I'm looking at.
Right. Yeah. Don't get stuck into.
You start typing stuff like this into Google, and you just get clickbait.
You can't be doing that on a podcast.
Yeah, we can't be doing that.
More unprofessional.
I was hoping to get something up quick there, but nah, it's not happening.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So it is available on PC. I actually don't know if it's on Steam. It's definitely available on Windows. There's basically a director's cut that was released by Rising Star in 2013, which is what I'm playing as the director's cut. It was available on the PS3 and Xbox 360. I think the original game was released in 2009. As of 2010, it was when it was voted most or when it was declared most controversial survival horror game. So it's got a bizarre little history, and it's still kind of developed. It's still got a following. It's a cult game, and I think that's maybe what it was going for. You know, the obvious Twin Peaks references, kind of it almost seems like it's going for that kind of audience.
It is available on Steam.
It is available on Steam.
The director's cut, yeah, available on Steam.
Because it's basically the same thing.
And it has mixed reviews.
I imagine it does. Yeah. Yeah.
But you're enjoying it, Euan.
I am. I mean, certainly the driving leaves a lot to be desired. But even like things like
the driving's the best bit, man. I've seen you doing that driving thing, and that's just like it basically turns into a driving simulator.
Well, yeah, where you...
I mean, you've even got a fuel level and everything. It's just weird.
I noticed that. Yeah, there's a lot of stats and things that you can go into your menu and like for like you have hunger, but I hadn't really noticed it. And you like when you sprint, you have your health bar, and there's another bar for like sort of stamina that starts going up as you sprint, and it goes up and then goes down a bit and then goes up. So if you keep on sprinting, eventually when it hits the top, you sort of get out of breath. And you just have to like just take like one really slow step every so often and just get your breath back. It's just like totally knackered. So it's got all sorts of little bits like that. There's kind of, because it's meant to be this open world, and I think they've tried to, like, I know this maybe doesn't hold a lot of weight, but it was kind of reminding me. I think it was the Shenmue charm that was holding
man, I was thinking that as well.
It's kind of the odd jaunty music, the weird kind of genre, like gaming,
the kind of open world feel to it.
I'm just going to say careful there, because you're treading on sanctified ground.
No, but I think there is
using the word Shenmue in a review is a very potentially irresponsible thing.
It carries a little bit, but I don't know. I think I would challenge any fan of Shenmue to play this and just see what I mean.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean, but
it's on.
I'm not saying it's Shenmue by any stretch of the imagination.
I'll play it just so that I can come back and tell you it's not.
But I think it has similar ambitions in what it's tried to do. So there are all these loose little gameplay.
I don't think Shenmue set out to confuse you.
No, not at all. It's not, certainly not. But in terms of how it works as a game, I think, and there's things that you have to get your suits dry cleaned, and
what
you can shave, and you're deducted money for scruffy appearance for letting down the FBI. Things like that.
Seriously,
you get earnings. So like, if you shave, you get money.
I like this game so much more now that you said that.
See what I'm talking about? There are just these little daft things in it that just kind of. And that's the sort of charm I get in with
Pawel, not even Shenmue went into that level of detail.
No.
I don't think your whatever person that was giving you your monthly allowance would actually deduct for scruffy looks.
No.
But I wouldn't think that FBI would be doing it either.
Well, so far I haven't shaved because I want to see whether it actually does start growing a bit of stubble. And I've gone for the goofiest looking suit.
Right. You need to find all the weird things in this game and write them all down, and we can actually go through a list of them maybe in the next
I'll go through them, right, yeah. I think it does probably deserve more analysis.
Because this is just getting better and better.
Good to set the scene. I mean, people will be aware of this game. Some people will be. It kind of is one of these little stories because it was so sort of just awful when it came out. People, just like, what is this game? Why is it dropped over here? Why would anyone be interested in this? So it's going to develop this sort of cult following. But if you haven't heard of it yet, check it out because it is bizarre. And if you like, if you like B movies and odd things like that, then why shouldn't that sort of thing exist in video games?
True, that's true. Yeah,
and it's definitely a good example of it.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's others.
Right, cool. So, Deadly Premonition, like you say, it's available on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 and Microsoft Windows, and it is on Steam. Yeah. It came out in 2010.
2010, apparently. Wasn't it?
And I won't bother going into all the different publishers in all the different countries, but there's a lot of them. Do you want to rate this? We've not been rating anything so far.
I feel it defies
rating.
Really. Yeah.
Right, cool.
I think 6 really great biscuits.
Is that what you allow yourself during gameplay?
Yeah, I allow myself.
I'm having 6 really great biscuits during this game.
They basically do again another Twin Peaks rip-off where he just starts going on about it, but instead of it being the pie, it's like, oh, this is an excellent biscuit, and he's sort of eating this. Obviously represented in polygons, so looking weird. It's quite difficult to get a biscuit to. It's just this sort of brown blob. Oh, this is a wonderful biscuit.
Right, cool. Well, I think that on that weird note, we're going to wrap up the video game section. We're going to have a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about. We've only got one board game to talk about because we have not had a lot of board game time.
And we've probably taken up a lot of time already.
Yeah, we're doing not bad. So when we come back, we'll talk about one board game, but it's a pretty good one to talk about. We'll have some good analysis of it.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. See you in a minute.
Welcome back, and it's board game time.
Tabletop time.
I say abruptly. So we're just going to talk about this one beast. Xia, Legends of a Drift System.
Yes. Another one of my Kickstarter acquisitions.
So you picked this up on through a Kickstarter thing. It was seemed to be a long-running development, this.
Yeah, we just seem to keep talking about Kickstarter games. But, I'd just like to say one thing before we go any further about this Kickstarter, right? This is the best run Kickstarter that I've ever taken part in.
Right.
All right.
We have talked about the quality of Kickstarters quite a bit on this.
Because I've had a couple of dodgy experiences.
I think everybody has in Kickstarter.
Yeah, I think everybody has. And this guy... his communication was excellent. Alright, he was constantly putting out updates and he was totally transparent about the problems he was having, anything like that. Now that's what you should do in a Kickstarter.
Absolutely.
Okay, if you're having problems, don't hide it, because then people just get pissed off when the game's delayed or anything, whatever it is delayed. If you're having problems, tell people about it, and people might be able to offer solutions as well.
So that's the whole point of crowdfunding.
Yeah, exactly. And people are generally happier with that, because if a game's been delayed, as long as they know why it's being delayed, they're fully aware of it, then you tend to find they don't get annoyed. Yeah. I mean,
and in fact, the more technical detail you throw out there, the less inclined they'll be to actually look into the reasons.
True. Because people are quite lazy.
Yeah, most people. I'm lazy. Are you lazy?
I'm quite lazy.
We're all pretty lazy.
That's why I'm on a gaming podcast. The laziest of things. I don't have to move.
It could have been anything.
I cycled up here.
To do a gaming podcast.
Points to you, Pawel.
Thank you very much.
Let's not get into that again. That's the first time a break's actually been a break in this.
Right. So, Xia, Legends of a Drift System. This is from Far Off Games, which is, as far as I can tell, just pretty much one guy, Cody Miller.
Yeah.
And it was done through Kickstarter, like I say. And I got it. How long have I had this now? It's been a couple of years, maybe. Maybe a year and a half. I can't actually remember. In fact, I'll probably be able to tell you right now. 2014, yeah. So that's a couple of years I've had it now. Yeah. This is basically Elite in board game form.
Yeah.
This is basically what he went for. Now, as far as I can remember, this guy, Cody Miller, had this game under his hat for about 10 years or something like that. He'd basically been designing it for that long before he actually decided to do something about it and put it up in Kickstarter. So yeah, it's basically like, it's a sandbox spacefaring game where each player gets their choice of little ships. So there's like 6 little ships that you can choose from. And you can do what you like in this place. You can go off and explore, you can go off and pick up cubes from like planets, like resource cubes. Just cubes.
Always reducing
always
things
with the cubes.
It's just a resource.
You can pick up things like spice and hollow. What were the other things?
Cyber.
Cyber and Terra. And you can pick those up and load your ship up with them and take them off to another planet that wants to buy them and sell them to that planet. You can go out and attack each other. You can fit your ship with loads of guns and stuff like that and go off and attack things. Basically do what you want. It's a proper sandbox game, and there's not any one proper way of winning. But it is points based. You get points for doing certain things, and you decide at the start of the game how many points you want to play to. Whoever gets to that first wins the game.
Sandboxes tend to be longish.
It's longish.
This one can play quite quickly.
It can do.
Because when we set up, I was saying, go straight for the maximum was like 20 points.
Yeah.
In the game as it is. The first time I played it with you, I think we set it to like, I don't think it was even 10. I think it was less than that.
Yeah.
And I just felt like it took a wee, hadn't really gotten properly going by the time the game is over.
It is quite easy to pick up points very early in the game.
And there's lots of ways you can get points.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's sort of there's a bit of room for. I don't know. We talked about this. There's room for improvement with this game, but
we'll get to that though. Like I think later on, because I mean it's kind of hard to say where to start with Zaya when it comes to actually talking about how the game works. Because, like you say, there's so many different ways of getting points in this game that it's kind of difficult to pick one place to start at.
I mean, you're basically set up with like you say, your starting ship, and each of the ships has its own. There'll be a special ability for it. So I was a swamp rat. We had a energy scoop, although we'd need to obviously explain how the energy works in that. There's different ones, like there's one I think I've gone in a few games, one of the starting ones, which lets you sort of harpoon another ship and you can just follow behind it, so you don't have to spend energy on movement.
So you get these different ships, but you get a little board, and all the ships are different, so they have a different internal layout, basically. So you have you basically have what you might call cargo space, and because the ships are all different shapes and sizes, you get different shaped cargo hold. Now, what you can do with your cargo hold is you can put outfits in them. Now, outfits, there's 4 different types of outfit you can get. So there are shields, there are engines, there are blasters, and there are missiles. And they're different, they're like Tetris pieces almost. Like they're kind of all different shapes, so some things might not fit into certain ships, especially the bigger ones, because they come in like 3 ranks each outfit thing, don't they?
Yeah.
You've got like
some of them are just awkward sizes anyway.
Yeah, some of them are
the
just
larger ones.
And you find that you might not be able to combo 2 things together. I was having that problem in the last game that we played, where it was like I really wanted to put in, I think it was a missile and a blaster, and I just couldn't because I couldn't fit both those pieces into the ship. So I ended up putting 2 missiles in instead, which I used a devastating effect at the very end of the game. But we'll get to that.
I do favour the missiles in this game.
Oh yeah, the missiles are great fun. But yeah, so you've basically at the start of the game you get 3,000 credits to spend, so you can buy a couple of 2 or 3 sort of outfits for your ship, stick them in, and then you can fly off into the universe. Now, what you do with these outfits is you have 4 markers on your board, and each of the outfits has got the different spaces on them for these markers. So your engine might have 3 spaces.
All the engines have 3.
I think, So but the missiles only have 1.
Yeah.
And like the blasters might have 2, the shields might have 2 or 3, just depending on what they are. And what you do with these markers is that you put them on to the outfit that you want to use. So if you want to use your engine to move, you put a marker on that engine, and then on that outfit it tells you what dice you roll. So the game uses D6s, D8s, D12s, and there are D20s as well. Am I right?
Yeah, no. Well, you use it
there
for
is for one of the
but
missiles.
There is the ultimate missile uses
uses a D20. And basically, if you want to move, if you've got an engine that uses a D8, and you put a marker on it, you roll your D8, you move that many spaces. It's that simple. If you want to use your blaster, the blasters only have a range of 1, so you have to be adjacent to the ship you're shooting. Put a marker on, you take whatever dice it says on it and you roll it, and that's how much damage you do. You use your shields whenever somebody attacks you, you roll that dice, it reduces the damage by that much. And the missiles, the most fun things in the game, like we say, have a range of 2 to 6, so you can't use them up close. Basically, if you're a coward like us, you just go 6 spaces away from somebody,
close to somebody, and you start
loose your missile at them, roll your dice, do your damage, and then piss off.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
Which is great fun. You've also got impulse speed in this game.
Yeah, which you can always use. Well,
you can use it once a turn, and it's just a flat out. It's usually 2, 3, 4, or 5 or something like that.
I think they move that many spaces. As you sort of upgrade your ship, because there's different tiers of ships, I think they get less and less. So you got larger,
because the bigger ships get slower. But anyway, the other thing that you have on your board is energy. Now that varies between ships as well. I think my first ship only had 8 but they get to the higher tier ships, they go up to like 20 or something, don't they? Now, what you use your energy for, mostly you use your energy for rearming the 4 markers you've got. So those 4 markers that you're putting on your outfits, at the end of your turn, you've got to take them off and disarm them, basically. And you have to spend an energy for each marker if you want to use that again in the next round, basically. So if you've got 8 energy, you use all 4 of your markers. At the end of the round, you want to get those 4 markers back, you've got to spend 4 energy to get them back. Or 3 energy if you just want to take 3 back. But generally, you're wanting to get them all back, in most cases, so that you're ready for the next round. You also use energy for exploring the galaxy, but that's only really at the beginning of the game. Because you tend to find the galaxy gets explored pretty quickly.
Well, there's only 20 tiles in the game.
Yeah.
It's kind of set up.
They're kind of hex style things. They're kind of weird shaped, but yeah, they're hex style tiles.
And you've got basically set planets and little systems and things, little sort of like nebulas and things like that.
Yeah.
So you'll always encounter these things, but you'll always encounter them in a different order. The way they're drawn out is always random, and it kind of is dependent on what way you're approaching them.
Yeah.
How they go into the
there's specific facings for them and stuff.
So I imagine a lot of that's spent a lot of time working out where these little symbols match up, how they're all supposed to work.
Everybody genuinely confused by it.
I haven't seen anyone not just completely thrown by how it works.
That sounds fun to me.
Yeah.
Like we say, there's 3 different tiers of ships as well, so you can upgrade. Once you start off with a level 1 ship, you can upgrade to a level 2, and then you can upgrade to a level 3. The ships all have their own special abilities, like you mentioned earlier. Now, so you start the game with a level 1 ship, which you get to choose. I think there's 6 of each tier, isn't there?
Yeah.
And you get a special ability with it. So, like you say, they've got the harpoon thing. You've got one of the level 1 ships lets you re-roll. Was it Easy Tiger? Lets you re-roll a dice roll once a round.
The one I
spending energy to do that, though.
The one I had let me sort of regain energy.
Yeah.
I've got a chance to do it every turn, basically.
Yeah, energy scoop, which is quite powerful.
Oh, it's really useful. I would probably go that ship again.
Yeah.
Hopefully do a bit better with it.
The one that I had an overcharge ability, so I could basically damage my own outfits to use them.
Right.
Which was quite cool. It didn't really work out for me because I had... we're going to get to this at the end of this review thing, but
we'll talk about your dice issues
in this game. But...
So we're blaming dice again.
We're blaming dice, but I'll blame dice in a constructive manner later on. But yeah, I mean, you can when you upgrade your ship to a level 2 ship, you get to keep the special ability of your level 1 ship.
Yeah.
So you basically get 2 special abilities, and then when you upgrade to level 3, you end up with 3 special abilities. And the abilities get crazier as you go through the tiers.
Yeah.
Some of them are mad. Like there was one of the level 2 ships that our friend Dave was using, which had a sentry gun on it, basically. So on somebody else's turn, he could fire at them if they came near him.
There's another one that's got like an insane weapon on it, like some kind of railgun thing.
Oh yeah, there's a railgun thing. They get a bit crazy. But like we said earlier, the thing about this game is that it's such a sandbox game. So if you want to, you can fully equip your ship with guns and shields and stuff and go off and just blast your way through the universe, just shooting everybody around you. You do get a bounty for doing that.
Yep.
And if people blow you up, they get the bounty for it because you've turned rogue. Yeah. So them blowing you up doesn't give them a bounty, they get the money that's on you. And you can become a trader. So you can use the free space you have on your ship layout to put cargo cubes into and sell them.
You've got missions as well.
Yes, there are missions in the game as well. Some of the missions are quite interesting. Some of them are a complete pain in the arse.
Quite varied.
Is the game well balanced when it comes to different ways of playing it?
I'd say yes. Yeah. In general, yes. But there is the luck thing going on in it because you can get very unlucky, which... Yeah, that's one of the criticisms we have, which we will get to. Yeah. What else am I missing here, Euan?
Well, that's pretty much it. I mean, you've not mentioned also there's the 3 NPCs.
Yeah, the 3 NPCs,
game. I mean, you don't have to put them in the game, as you were saying before. It's there's certain things you can change, but we've always sort of played with them. So you've got like a merchant that's going from planet to planet, all the sort of lawful or neutral planets. selling its goods, and it's gradually sort of building up money on it as well. So you've also got there's like a sort of raider thing. It's outlaw ship.
Yeah, outlaw.
And that'll sort of target the nearest friendly unit and just sort of go after, just start shooting people.
Although if you turn rogue, it won't target you.
It won't bother you, yeah.
Because it sees you as a friend.
I generally always found myself getting into tangles with this.
Yeah.
And when I've played this game. But that's why I favour the missiles, because it's got lasers, it's got to get right up to you. You could just sort of stay just outside of its movement range, shooting at it with missiles.
And making it follow you across the universe while you keep shooting it with missiles. Yeah.
I've done that several times. I've probably wasted a lot of turns doing that.
There's also the Enforcer ship.
Yeah, sort of...
so the policeman of the universe.
Galactic policeman.
Yeah. Who will go after any rogue ships, basically, including the pirate ship, the NPC.
So they spend a lot of time fighting.
Now, at the end of the game, once I realised that I wasn't going to win, it was basically the last turn of the game sort of thing for me. I just shot the Enforcer ship out of the sky with all my missiles, just for fun.
Because that's the way Chris plays games.
Yeah, well, I basically, it got to the point, like I say, where I was just like, I'm not going to win this, I'm just going to go rogue, and blasted that Enforcer ship out of the sky in one roll, which was nice. But it's the kind of thing you can do. The other thing we can do, the other thing we've kind of missed out here is the terrain of the tiles themselves.
Oh yeah, well,
are all kind of like asteroids and debris. One of them's a sun. That's the Zaya itself. Yeah. There's planets. There's different types of planets as well. You've got the lawful planets, neutral planets, rogue planets. If you go into a rogue planet, you instantly get a bounty on you. If you've got a bounty on you, you can't go into the lawful planets anymore. Unless you smash through the planetary shield, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Which could end up giving you even more bounty, but it's one way of getting in. But there's a risk associated with going into these different types of terrain. So if you go into an asteroid belt, there's a chance that you just end up damaging your ship. You basically roll a d20 and see what happens. Debris can end up destroying you instantly. Nebulas can drain your energy. What am I missing? There's gates as well, so there's warp gates that will teleport you from one side of the board to another.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, all this sort of like different terrain gives it a nice little feel. So it feels like you're actually having to negotiate your way across the galaxy rather than just instantly flying from one planet to another.
So when you say destroy, the means of winning this game is by accumulating whatever number of points, but can you just shoot others until you're the last one standing?
No, because you do respawn.
Everybody respawns.
Okay.
But you miss a turn if you get destroyed. So getting destroyed can be a bad thing, really, because other people are going to just start getting ahead of you. But yeah, different things give you points. So blowing a ship up gives you a point. If you trade a certain number of cubes, you get a point. Yeah. If you sell a certain number of cubes, sorry. What else is there? There's exploration tokens dotted about the galaxy that you can pick up for points.
Gives you a point.
Yeah, missions give you points.
You can buy them for 5,000 credits if you want.
If you want to just go that full merchant route. There's other things as well, I'm pretty sure, that we're missing out. But
that's the thing, there were various... I mean, there's even the thing like rolling a natural 20 on a D20. If you do that at any point in your turn, you get a fame point for it.
Alright.
Which we both got points out of that.
I got a point for that, yeah. In fact, in the last turn of the game, there's also the titles. Title cards. So at certain points in the game, depending on... It's based on how many points people have. Title cards will come out, and you can get these title cards by doing specific things. And generally, they're reasonably difficult. Some of them are more difficult than others. But you can get points for doing those. So one of the ones... So in the last turn of the game, I flew through 3 asteroid belts without using any shields. And that was one of the things... I got the Daredevil title for doing that. And got a fame point for it. But there was other things like the Viking, which was you have to ram another ship and survive it, I think. But you have to destroy it by ramming it and survive it yourself to get the Viking thing. There's a few other things as well, like hitting all the warp gates in a certain order gave you another title. So there's loads of different things that you can do to get points in this game, like we say.
And those cards, like what they call the favour? Feats?
Title cards.
Title cards, that's it, yeah. Because they do kind of give, create the sort of flavour of the game.
Yeah.
Because they kind of encourage you to do really daft stuff.
Things,
because it's such a kind of sandbox game, it's kind of based on feats, really, I guess, to some extent. Like, what are you willing to do? And because it's it's just seeing how far it can push you.
See, because we were kind of playing the game reasonably safe. Like, you do tend to find that, especially at the start of the game, you've got this shitty little ship. You're just kind of like, I'm not doing any of this mental stuff. I will never survive any of this. So you tend to find that people go for those trading things, and it's all very slow build up. Nobody's attacking each other or anything like that because everybody's shit scared that you're going to end up getting blown up.
That just sounds like any PvP game we play.
Yeah. But then you do get to a point once you start getting those tier 2 ships or whatever, and you kind of start going,
you feel compelled to
I feel like I can kill people now. Which is what happened to me. Right, let's get down to the nitty gritty of this then. First off, I'll say that I love the idea of this game. When I saw it go up on Kickstarter, at the time I think it might have broken some Kickstarter record. I think. But that was quite early on in board game and Kickstarter life, if you see what I mean. When it was kind of about the point that people started to put board games on Kickstarter massively, if you see what, if you understand that.
There's not going to be any gaming records broken anytime soon.
No, not after Dark Souls 3. But now I still do really love the idea of this game, but I think it's broken.
Yeah.
Because it is so heavily reliant on luck that. And I mean,
you really fell afoul of it in this.
I really fell afoul of it, but even when I've played it before, when I've done well in it, I've still felt that this game is far too reliant on luck.
I've played this game before and you just had long, frustrating sections where just trying to deal with the dice.
The last game I played, I had a long, frustrating period where I was using my engines, and 5 times in a row, so that's 5 times in a row, on a 8-sided dice, I rolled 1. Okay, trying to move across the galaxy.
And I was still going. I was trundling about the place on the basic engines. I rolled a d6, and I was quite happy tearing about the place.
I know.
So I managed to stay alive with my small ship for so long. I was usually able to get into a planet before somebody was like, "This one." I'm like,
now, I just think that, like I say to you, after we finished playing the game the other day, I feel like because this guy had this idea for this game in his head for 10 years, and obviously this was back before board games became this big phenomenon sort of thing. Like, but that was back when single dice rolls were kind of something that happened in board games. Like, because now you tend not to see that so much in games that are rated quite sort of highly, ranked quite highly. You tend not to find that big areas of games will be reliant on single dice rolls, because people know now that that's not a good way of doing things. It's not. It doesn't give you an equal sort of gameplay feeling, whatever it is. Because I think there needs to be some way of fixing this. Because if you're doing something that's so reliant on a single dice roll,
something that's basic, just being able to move.
You're gonna end up trying to hack the game and try to rely on activities that don't require dice rolls.
Maybe, I don't know. It's kind of difficult in this game because everything's reliant on a dice roll in this game, pretty much.
Even like trading.
Yeah, well, not trading. No, I mean, but the thing is with trading, you have to be able to move.
Oh, of
so
course.
if you're moving, you're reliant on your engines.
About the place. It's like the engines are.
And it's just like. I mean, I got left so far behind. I mean, I feel like it sounds like I'm griping. I'm not really, because this is the nature of the game. It's the nature of the beast. But I mean, I got left so far behind, and not because of any fault of my own. It was just because bad dice rolls.
You couldn't move,
and there was nothing I could do about it.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like that it does need fixing. Like, I feel like this game could be amazing if we could fix this somehow. Like, because at the moment I've kind of gone a bit lukewarm on it. It's a good game. It's not great.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say it's a bad game by any stretch.
No, not at all.
And I still do enjoy playing it despite all that, because I mean I was aware of those issues before, and I'm the first to moan about dice in any game.
Oh, you've got,
I mean I've done it in a previous game, but in that one it never bothered me so much. I think like even when it was frustrating and stuff, you never feel too competitive in that game. And so it really does live up to its kind of sandbox.
Yeah, but I think that's because of the people we've been playing it with.
Maybe.
I think if you were to sit down and play this game with somebody, I don't know, like like say Pawel.
Yeah, let's say I would have been there and played this game.
And some other people that want to be really aggressive in this game and just start shooting at you.
Shoot you.
Okay? And that's all just going to be based on dice rolls. And that's going to be extremely frustrating if Pawel's constantly rolling high and you're constantly rolling low. And he's just blowing you out the sky and you're missing turns constantly.
Well, that's the thing, remember, there was
also,
a lot of
I'm acting
stuff.
as if it's actually my achievement, which I would.
Yeah.
It would be my victory, and I would rub it in.
Well, no, I mean, none of the... most of the combat that did happen in our game was fairly sort of lackluster. A lot of things didn't really land. I think most of the shots I took did very little damage, even though I was shooting loads of missiles at things. And I think the one time I managed to I just sort of refitted my ship, so I had 2 missile launchers on it.
Yeah.
And took out one of the NPC ships. But then that left me stranded, sitting in space for the first time. I was like, and you were contemplating shooting me at the time.
Yeah, I think I was.
And like, there's things like, I couldn't understand why you all had tier 2 ships quite early on. It took me ages to get one, and there was not even a sniff of me getting the tier 3 one.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really tell you, but I mean, that was just luck of the draw for...
It was. I mean, that was kind of luck of the draw, and I think what kind of happened was that, like, this is another one of my sort of complaints with this game, is that if you end up being the last person to act in the first round, so if you go around the table, right, the people that have gone, so I was last in that thing, but I think I was alright because I managed to explore a bit of the galaxy. You got really unlucky with your galaxy exploration.
I did loads of exploration and found nothing.
Yeah.
I actually found the void.
But also, the people that are going before you are exploring out so quickly, and they're picking up all the fame token things that are like the exploration tokens, that are lying around the board, basically. Now, if they get all of those things, they can give you points and they can give you money.
Yeah.
And what we found was that...
tend not to have any money at the start of the game, and it's useful.
And what we found was that Dave and Neil had picked up shitloads of money and points just because they'd picked up all the exploration tokens that were lying about before you and I really had a chance to do anything. So like that gave them a massive advantage straight off the bat.
Yeah.
Like those sort of 4 tiles that were already on the board at the start, they took all the tokens off of those. So instantly, that's us on the back foot, sort of thing.
It's grievance quite here. I'm detecting grievance.
It's not grievance because I want, like I say, Pawel, I want to love this game. I just think that things it needs to be fixed. There's
a lot of unevenness in it, but again, I personally, when I've played it, I've always taken that as just part of the game.
Yeah, I know.
And but in some games, I suppose it's easier. When we play in time stories, and there's plenty of dice rolls there, and sometimes you get your skill tests, and you just keep rolling really bad, but you're still part of the team, and you're still contributing to the same goal. So you're having fun even when you stumble. But I suppose in a game where you can, when seemingly so much depends on what you choose, because it's a sandbox, so there's so many different strategies. And yet so much relies on an actual roll, and then somebody shoots you with a small gun for a big roll and just kills you, and he's all happy. I suppose that can get a bit frustrating.
Yeah.
And you were in a position in that game for a lot of it, but you just like what?
I can't do anything.
And you're not enjoying yourself when you're doing that. So.
No, and that's the thing. That's why I think it needs to be fixed, because it's just too frustrating for.
Yeah, you can't have that experience. If you
get unlucky, it's frustrating, and because the game we played took 5 hours, something like that. Now, I think. Now, you know what I'm going to say here. All right, there are just like a couple of people. The 2 people we were playing this with, your turns were pretty quick. Mine and yours were pretty quick.
I would say so. Yeah, once because I had played the game before.
Yeah. But the 2 other people we're playing with, they're not.
You know who you are.
They're not fast game players.
No.
Right? No, they are not fast
very
game
pensive.
Players. Yeah. They just spend way too much time worrying about stuff. Now, sorry, I've completely lost track of what I was saying.
So what in terms of like that, this is an actual quality in a gamer. It's strategic thinking. They definitely don't have anything against you, Dave.
I would rather that I did not suffer from analysis paralysis. If I find myself beginning to suffer from analysis paralysis and thinking about things too much, I will just stop myself there and then just go, "No, I'm just doing this." I'll just choose something to do, because keep the game flowing. Like there's one of my biggest frustrations when I play a game.
So you don't play chess too often.
Oh, God, no. No, games should be fun though. Like you shouldn't be sitting there waiting for.
No, I fully agree.
Waiting for an hour to take your turn.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think like a potential strength of that game could be in just its replayability. But if you're taking 5 hours to play a game, then
So, are you telling your other 2 players that they should feel ashamed because
No,
you've not had your fun?
Not at all, not at all.
Actually, get
yes.
their arses in gear. Tell them to wind their neck in and get their arses in gear.
It's just a bloody game. Will you get on with it? Right, anyway.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with your points on there. I think maybe I am a wee bit more forgiving of it because I didn't have the experience you had. But I didn't do that well in the game either, but I quite enjoyed just rumbling about.
I'm just going to point out again that it wasn't just that last game that these thoughts came to me. I have been thinking about this about Zaya for a while, and it's actually that's what's made me reluctant to play it again. Actually, and then we played it again, and actually what I was worried about happened. So.
See,
but it happened to me, which was even worse.
I'm now interested to play it again, though.
See, I would now. I do have a sort of proposal, and I think I say that actually, like a bit of a house rule for it, which is to say that if you are in a situation where you're going to use one of your outfits, you should be allowed to take half of the dice that you're supposed to roll. So if you're rolling a d8, you should be allowed to take 4 rather than rolling a dice, or you can roll a dice.
It's a decent house rule, if you ask me.
Yeah.
That was the house rule that I proposed.
That's just like something as basic that can make all the difference.
One of the other things I would propose that is instead of rolling d8s and d12s and d20s, it was to be rolling multiple d4s.
D4s?
Yeah, because, and we've been over this before in a previous episode, but
I think you have talked about this.
The spread, like if you roll multiple dice, you're more likely to roll an average number than you are if you roll single dice. That's just because of maths and statistics and stuff like that. All right.
Maybe we could get into this in depth, and we could do a dice episode.
I think you proposed this the last time as well.
I probably did. Yeah. Well, it was just because I was thinking now about your other examples of things like that. You're talking about the.
I'd have plenty of input from RPG perspective.
Well, yeah, specifically when we were setting up Pathfinder characters, there's things about that can be a bit strange. Yeah, there's room for debate there.
There's definitely room for debate, but you can't debate against statistics, though, Euan. You can try and argue against it, but then you'll just constantly be proven wrong.
But what's this? It depends what the statistic is.
1 in 10 Pawels think everything is awesome.
That is valid. Yes.
Yeah. Has that been proved? Like,
we don't need
how many sources?
No.
Pawel's going to get angry.
I'm just getting a bit worked up.
I'm an authority when it comes to things awesome.
I mean, like, what's your set size? What's your like? Where are you collecting the data? I need to know your data. I need to know your sources.
This is a podcast that gets its data from Wikipedia.
You need to be able to do that experiment again, or otherwise it's not valid.
Alright, fair enough. Well, we'll come back to that, and we'll have a very statistical episode.
Pavel, go and find 9 other Pawels
with rigorous analysis.
There's only one me.
That's very true.
But that also means there is 100% of me here.
Right. Right, let's get back to Zaya anyway, because I think we're going to wrap that up, I think there. Now, like I say, I want to love this game. I think there's a lot of aspects of this game that I do love. The upgrade system is brilliant. The outfits, the sort of outfits, the way that all goes together is brilliant. The different methods that you can use is brilliant. It's just the luck side of things that I think needs to be fixed.
I think we described it at one point as a near perfect game that just
it just falls short. It just falls off. It drives itself off a cliff all of a sudden. You start setting this game off and look at it and think this is the perfect game, and then you start playing it, and it's like you say, it drives off a cliff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna assume that you've looked at Game Board Geek and there wasn't any house rules published there.
I haven't looked. I did mean to, and I forgot.
Yeah,
I think
there's usually plenty of stuff for
it.
There usually that kind of
Board Game Geek's usually a good resource for that kind of thing.
You do need to look at it and say, like, I mean, we did even things at the start of setting up this game where you start off with a tile for each player. I'm guessing it is.
Yeah.
And we drew 2 planets on those, a very close space.
Yes.
Where you could go between, you could buy at one and sell that thing that it was selling at the other planet. Very quickly go between them, make loads of money and victory points. So it was just like, right, we're not having that.
Yeah, we binned it and then we drew a
else.
different title, aye.
And that was a shrewd decision, that sort of thing.
Because that kind of thing, that's another thing, we didn't actually... Well, you're bringing that up now, but that can happen with a random draw of the tiles as well. That's a luck thing, where you can end up with two planets right next to each other, which basically means that nobody really needs to do anything else other than just move between those two planets.
I don't think anybody necessarily always goes for that.
But the thing is, if you don't, you're probably an idiot.
You're going to fall behind. but there's always other ways. I think,
They're definitely. I think the next time we play it, we do have to introduce some house rules.
Yeah.
But other than that, it is a really good game. Pawel, would you be excited to play this? We always tend to play these sort of space games when you're not around, and you love these kind of things.
I always wait to play some sort of science fiction games with you guys. I come over and we end up playing some sort of farming simulator, or setting up an airline or something.
What do you think of this, Pawel?
A food chain magnet. Well, it's not football, at least.
Yeah, well, just a little preview actually for the next time we do a board gaming thing. We're probably going to be talking about Star Wars Rebellion.
Yes.
Which me and Pawel are probably going to play at some point, I think. Pawel's well excited about this.
I'm quite looking forward to it.
Food Chain Magnate, which is another newish game. And we've got something else. What else am I missing?
I think you're genuinely setting up.
I'm genuinely setting this up because we need to get these games played. So I'm saying, if we say that we're going to talk about them, we then have to play them.
We've now put a noose around our necks.
Yeah.
And we might also play Schaffhauser.
That's not a word.
Which is an economic game set in a fantasy world. So
we'll keep that as a mic.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll likely be talking about Uncharted at some form.
Yes, we're probably going to talk about Uncharted.
Yes.
Which...
You want to mention your...
I've played the first Uncharted years ago. I finished the first Uncharted years ago. I've never played the second or third ones. I've obviously not played the fourth one yet.
Some of us are just going through Uncharted Collection, preparing for Uncharted 4, which is obviously a big event at the gaming scene at the moment.
By some of us, we mean Pawel is doing that. And I'm about to start doing that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stream it. I'm going to stream the entire experience of playing through all three games, which should be fun, I think.
Because Chris has a very unique way of playing video games, and I weep for poor Nathan Drake already.
Man, he's going to get so much abuse.
He's going to have strange things done to his internal physics.
What else have we got planned for the future? Oh yeah, we may have some Pathfinder related stuff because we finally got a session after about a year long break.
Yeah.
We finally got together and did some Pathfinder the other night.
I would very much
My goodness, an RPG chat, that would be amazing.
If we finally get to talk about something.
We've been trying to get you to do that RPG chat for about 6 episodes now.
Yes, I've not noticed that.
Sorry, I say we've been trying to do that. We've been trying to stop you from doing that.
That sounds more like it.
We've been hoping you wouldn't.
I'll sneak up on you when you're talking about Pathfinder, and suddenly there's going to be plenty of digressions.
Suddenly we're talking about some underwater RPG.
Oh, there's going to be plenty of that, yes.
Is there a Sea-Punk
Just you wait.
RPG?
Yeah,
we talked about this.
We talked about that.
Yeah. I really want to see a Sea-Punk RPG.
Well, that's the one.
We can turn Pathfinder into Sea-Punk if you want. We can just
like
move the whole setting underwater.
Yeah, we've got everybody's Windows 95. Everybody's dyed their hair blue and is using Windows 95.
Right. So yeah, we might do maybe a Pathfinder mini episode actually, where we just chat about what we're doing in this campaign.
Yeah, I would love to,
and maybe cut some audio in.
Set up the saga of our Pathfinder, because I think we'd probably spend an entire episode just getting the backdrop of what we've done up to.
Oh yeah,
up to now, really.
And who Peter Gabriel is in this game.
See, these are the sort of things like there's a lot of setup. We can't just launch into what's going on at the moment because it would just be too confusing.
Yep.
It's confusing to me already.
Yeah. All right.
Right. Well, I think that brings the episode to a close. Unless anybody's got anything else they want to
add. No. We'll just.
Are you enjoying your biscuits, Euan?
I'm having great biscuits.
I'm getting hungry myself. Time to cycle home.
I am. Yeah.
Right. So let's do all the. We'll do all the social media and interweb stuff.
Yeah.
So we are on SoundCloud. This is probably where you're listening to this episode if you've not downloaded it through iTunes, which we're also on. Yeah.
You may also be listening through the Podnose.
Yeah, Podnose network. So you can listen if you go to podnose.com.
Yep.
We are part of that network, and you can listen to our episodes.
Stream and download from there.
Yep, on that site. We're on Facebook. You can find us there. We're on Twitter now. That's at First Player Token, as in 1ST Player Token, as I always have to say, because it's not the word first like every other thing that we use.
It's once.
Some other bastard took First Player Token on Twitter. I'll be having words with them. So that's at 1ST Player Token. We are on YouTube. You can find us on there. There's various videos there's some videos of me doing some streams, and there's a couple of board game things on there as well of us playing board games. And my Twitch username is Unnecessary Chris if you want to find me on there. And our email is firstplayertoken@gmail.com if you want to email us with any of your comments, suggestions, abuse for Pawel.
We're always happy to hear from fans, and we'll maybe even discuss your correspondence.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. If you want to send us a question or anything, we will answer it on the podcast, unless you ask us not to.
Well, we could just stop replying to Facebook comments and just talk about those.
Just ignore people.
But then that'll be weird. Just like these unfinished conversations.
But yeah, that's where to find us if you're ever looking and you want to ask us anything.
Yeah, give us a formal correspondence.
Yeah, I want a dear sir and or madam.
Yeah. Please.
Okay, so that's episode 20. You enjoyed that, lads?
That was great. Yeah.
Was that great fun?
Oh yeah, chaps.
Feels good to have done 20 episodes.
20 episodes is that's a milestone. It's a milestone.
Is, It's 20.
Yeah.
It's
Probably
20
not the first one. Yeah.
Technically, it's 21 episodes, but we're not going into that.
No, that's... Come on now.
Right. Well, thanks for listening, and we will return in a couple of weeks' time with more chat about gaming.
Looking forward to it already.
Indeed.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.